Hello and welcome back to FatbossTV. Today we're having another look at the Hellfire Citadel on the 6.2 PTR, and today we're having a look at Gorefiend.
And this guy, well, what could be said? Just look at him.
He's so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, if any boss deserved a FatBoss skin, it would be this boss. Like, even if you look at him in the dungeon journal, if you spin him around, he has tiny little legs and everything, so... he's beautiful! An amazing boss, really cool mechanics as well. It all revolves around if you die, you don't actually die, you get eaten by him, and you fight ads in his tummy, and... how good is that?
It's a bit of a bizarre boss.
It's really cool. Awesome boss.
Now, as a disclaimer, just before we talk about the boss, this is a preview video. It's not an official FatBoss guide. If you would like to see an official guide, they will be coming out the moment these bosses are available on live servers, so make sure you check out the channel around that time.
So Gorefiend has a shit ton of abilities that you need to deal with before you even get to go and experience his inner tummy phase, which is pretty goddamn cool, and the first of which is Touch of Doom. This will debuff 3 players in your raid for 8 seconds, and when this debuff expires, the players will explode and deal raid-wide damage. However, this damage is reduced the further players are away from the explosion. So the idea is that when you get this debuff, you move out of the raid, because otherwise you're going to blow up on everyone. It also does leave behind a pool of fell horribleness that seems to last forever, and it really does a ton of damage, so it's extra important that you do leave, because otherwise there'll be pools in the middle and people won't be able to move around properly and it will just be a mess. So if you get this debuff, generally just get out.
The boss also has a passive ability where he'll constantly be doing AoE damage to the raid. It deals around 60k damage, but this damage is splash damage, so it's important that the entire raid is spread by 5 yards, and this way you won't take excess damage. Another passive style ability the boss has is that he will spawn a spiral of circles. If you stand in these circles shortly after they've spawned, you'll take a load of damage because they just explode. So the idea is that as soon as they spawn, you move very quickly from them.
One of the more interesting abilities the boss has is something called Shared Fate. What will happen is that the boss will mark 3 players in the raid and it will link them together and start dealing damage to them. In order to remove the debuff from these players, they need to stack up. However, one of the players is rooted, so it's very similar to lots of other mechanics where you'll need to stack up to get rid of a debuff. However, because one of the players is rooted, you've got to go and find that rooted player and stack on top of him. It is actually really quite easy to find where the rooted player is, because you do have a line between you and the rooted player, so even if you're not 100% sure where he is, just follow your line and you will eventually find him. Just make sure you all stack up nice and quickly, and of course, because this guy is rooted, and you've got all of these horrible mechanics such as Touch of Doom and the Crushing Darkness circles on the floor as well, it's important that you get them out as soon as possible.
Now, as we said before, with this encounter, if you die at any point while you're outside, instead of physically dying, you'll be eaten by the boss, and you'll have to go inside his stomach and kill a load of ads. But even if you avoid all the abilities we've already listed, there is actually another ability in play that will take you into the stomach. How this works is that 3 random players will get a debuff that lasts for 5 seconds. After the 5 seconds are up, you are instantly ported into the stomach, so it's like as if you died.
Now, once you are inside this stomach, you will receive a debuff that makes it so you can no longer be teleported back into his stomach for 3 minutes. So meaning, if you die again on the outside, you are actually dead, like properly this time. So make
for reals.
Yeah, for reals this time. So if you do die again with this debuff, you're fucked. Just don't die. Now, when you are inside of his stomach, you will have up to 40 seconds to do your business before you are digested. When you are digested, you are instantly killed.
Again, for real.
Yeah, because when you die on the inside, you actually die. What it will do, it'll throw your corpse back into the main room and you just are dead on the floor. So the idea is that you leave his stomach before those 40 seconds are up. And the way that you leave the stomach is there is a pillar in the middle of the room, and all you do is just run into that and then you're just spat out again. You can do that at any time, but really you want to stay in the stomach for as long as possible in order to deal with the things that you need to do in there.
Now, inside this stomach, there are 3 different types of ads that you need to deal with. There's also these purple circles that spawn on the ground. They don't do a lot of damage at all, you just need to make sure you're avoiding them. One of the ads is a Shadowy Construct. This ad will just spawn on the outer edges of the room and will start moving towards the middle. When these ads eventually reach the middle, they will be teleported back into the main room just like you would if you walked into the middle, and this does cause problems. So the idea is that you kill these ads before they reach the middle of the room. One thing to help you do this is by stunning them. You can slow them, you can knock back them, you can use grips, all that sort of shit, but there is a lot of them, so at the end of the day, some are going to go through.
Now, something for your healers to deal with is an ad called Tortured Essence. This is a friendly mob that you want to heal up before it reaches the middle. It does the exact same thing as the Shadow Construct. It starts walking towards the middle of the room from the outer edge, so you want to heal it up as much as possible. Hots and other beneficial buffs you gave this mob just didn't really seem to work.
They just flat out immune it.
Yeah, it seems that only direct healing works. Whether or not that's a bug or not, we don't know. But either way, it looks like you can only direct heal these at the moment. Now, if you heal this up to full, they'll just disappear harmlessly. However, if they do manage to reach the middle before they are full HP, they will enter the main room. However, their health pool will be inverted. So as an example, if you heal them up to 60% HP, it will then go into the overworld with 40% HP. So it's kind of like Sulong in Terrace of the Endless Springs, where its health becomes inverted, if you guys remember that boss all the way back then. So that kind of means that it is worth healing this mob as much as you can, even if you don't think you're going to top it to full, because you're going to be dealing with it outside as an aggressive mob and you want it to be as low as possible, so your heals are kind of damaging right now. So just heal the mobs as much as you can.
Now, the last ad that spawns in here will only ever spawn whenever the tank gets the Shadow of Death, so that when the tank is pulled into the room. And this ad is called an Enraged Spirit. He has an interruptible cast called Bellowing Shout. If this goes off, it'll just increase the mob's melee damage by 300% for 10 seconds, which is catastrophic. This guy already hits hard, so you need to make sure that you interrupt that. He'll also do something called Fell Fury, which is just slams on the ground that leave a pool of like fell shit on the ground. Tanks need to make sure, of course, you move out of it. And at 70% health, the Enraged Spirit will just knock everyone within 10 yards back and then just stampede towards the middle of the stomach and will then enter the main room. And there's nothing you can do to prevent that. That is just how it works. Now, as we said, any ad that does manage to go in the middle of the room will then go into the main room. And in the main room, they're a massive problem. The constructs in the main room will fixate a target and will start chasing them down. If they reach that target is dead. Yeah. And pretty much anyone within 10 yards. It's just a massive amount of splash damage is dealt around that target. These constructs are really slow at first, however, they do gain a stacking movement speed increase buff, which means you cannot just kite these forever. But they do have relatively low HP, especially if you've done a significant amount of damage to them while they were inside the stomach, so you can kill these off pretty quickly.
Now the essences, which are the healing ads, they now spawn and they are now aggressive mobs that can be damaged. All they'll do is just stand there and spam something called Spirit Volley. Now this will do low damage to everyone in the entire raid, but most importantly it will slow them for 50% for 2 seconds, and like you're already dealing with all of the boss abilities, so you're running around with the touch of doom as well as trying to kite these constructs and all this horrible stuff, so these ads are a huge pain in the ass. Now every single time they do a volley, the next volley they're going to do does 20% more damage as well, so not only are they slowing you, they're slowly going to just whittle your raid down and your healers aren't going to be able to keep up. So these are very high priority for your DPS. The constructs don't particularly matter because they die so fucking quick because just of people dotting them and things like that. Just kill these essences as soon as you can. However, you have to deal with the tank spirit.
And these tank spirits are almost certainly #1 DPS priority because they are just such a pain for the tanks to deal with. And the reason for that is that each time they land a successful melee hit, it will place a dot on the tank, and this just stacks up and up and up forever. So you need to make sure that you're tank swapping on them. They'll still do the Bellowing Shout. Of course, you still need to make sure that you interrupt this, otherwise you're almost certainly dead. But the most annoying thing that they do is that they'll do something called Raging Charge. What the ad will do, it will charge towards a target, it will deal a large amount of physical damage, and it will stun that target for 2 seconds. You really need to make sure that you move from this charge. If you don't, you could so easily die in this 2-second stun from all the other abilities that are in play. So what the idea is, we think, is that when it does spawn, have the tank pick it up, get all the DPS to swap to it, and then just make sure you tank swap on the dot. And they're all the main abilities. However, you may have noticed that Gorefiend does have an energy bar, and this energy bar just slowly depletes throughout the fight. However, once he reaches 0%, he'll cast a brand new ability called Feast of Souls.
Now this is a 1 minute long channel during which he will no longer cast any of his regular abilities, and there shouldn't be any ads left up. There'll definitely be no new ones spawning. Just make sure you get rid of the last of the little ads and then you'll be able to deal with this ability. During this 1 minute channel, all he will do is deal around 40k shadow damage to the raid every 2 seconds as he regains his energy. He will also be taking 100% extra damage during this phase, so it's pretty good for the DPS.
Oh yeah, you have
considering
some fun, yeah.
You've just been dealing with loads of shit and you haven't been able to hit the boss for a while. This is your boss nuke phase, so the idea is everyone stacks up, you're chaining your healing cooldowns to deal with this horrible raid-wide damage for a minute, as well as nuking the boss. However, during this Feast of Souls phase, waves of souls will spawn at the back of the room and slowly move towards the boss. If they reach the boss, it will give him some extra energy back, meaning that the souls phase will be shorter.
Now, as you are soaking the souls, each one that you do soak just literally by walking over it, you will deal 80k damage to the entire raid. However, this is still a good thing because, you know, the souls won't reach the boss. But it is a lot of damage on the raid. So again, just implies even more that you need to make sure that you're stacked up just so you can spam even more heals.
And once the Feast of Souls is over, the boss just restarts and you just keep repeating the fight. And it just goes over and over again, just like you just pulled him once again. And that's it. It's a very good fight though. There was some bugs on the PTR, like during the Feast of Souls phase right at the end, sometimes he wouldn't restart the fight and all he'd do is melee hit the tank. But apart from like really obvious bugs on the PTR, this boss is looking very good. However, there's some things I'm not particularly too happy with. The fight kind of feels like it's going really, really fast. Like sometimes
people can just get comboed to shit.
Yeah, you can get like a touch of doom on you, as well as like a shared fate at the exact same time when you're about to be transported inside, and there's all this stuff on the floor, which might be intended. Maybe they do want to make you feel like, holy shit, there's too much going on. But it just seems maybe a little bit too hectic. Maybe with one target getting all these debuffs at the same time is a little bit too much. Maybe they'll space it out a little bit more so you don't have to deal with all of it at the same time.
Doesn't seem too fair. And also inside the stomach, the pillar-ish area right in the middle of the room, that does create line of sight, which is a real ball ache because you can't obviously run through it because you'll be teleported back into the middle if you're trying to access something on the other side of the pillar, which means you have to run all the way around it, which is pretty frustrating. But apart from that, the fight does feel very complete. I'd say some of the casts are maybe too quick. They made them slightly longer, so you had like more time to react to them because you feel like you're reacting to the ability once it's landed on you before it's even cast because you can barely fucking see what it is. But it feels like a very complete fight, and it's so much better than Kilrogg. But
yeah, it is.
That goes without saying, I think.
It is an amazing fight.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this little preview, then please do drop us down a like. It helps us out a lot. And if you would like to see more previews, there is a link in the description to our PTR playlist. You can watch all the bosses there. And we'll see you on the live stream.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.